He walked out with the swagger of a champion, music blaring, crowd on their feet, thousands cheering, and then suddenly everything changed. A hand from the front row reached out too far too fast and grabbed the thumb of the world number one. What happened next? Most cameras missed it. But that single moment might have changed the trajectory of the tournament and raised serious questions about player safety. This is the story of Luke Humphries, the fan who went too far, and the shocking aftermath that could shake the entire sport of darts. Just before his opening match at the US Darts Masters in Madison Square Garden, Luke Humphries, fresh off a dominant Premier League season, stepped up for his walk-on. He was focused, calm, in the zone. But as he moved through the usual narrow corridor between the crowd and the stage, a fan's hand suddenly yanked his throwing thumb. Not a high five, not a pat on the back. An aggressive tug, bending the thumb backward. At first, Luke tried to play it cool. He kept walking, barely flinched. But behind the scenes, he was shaken. And by the time he stepped onto the oche, that thumb was already swelling. You could see it on the broadcast. He was flexing it, gripping the dart awkwardly, his throw just a touch off. After the match, he didn't hold back. "It really hurt," he said. "I couldn't get my grip right. If it had been any worse, I'd have had to pull out." Most fans had no idea, but that one fan nearly ended the number one seeds tournament before it even began. And here's where it gets insane. Luke didn't just play on, he kept winning. Despite the pain, despite the mental distraction, despite not knowing if his thumb was seriously damaged, he powered through. He beat Stowe Bunce 6-4, then breezed past Danny Lorby, then dismantled Gerwyn Price 7-2, and finally held off Nathan Aspinall 8-6 in a gritty final to lift the trophy in New York. He didn't just win, he won in pain. That's what makes this story so shocking. This wasn't a freak accident at home or some weird training injury. This happened in front of the cameras in the middle of a PDC event, right in front of officials. And yet, nothing was done in the moment. No immediate protocol, no pause. Just a star player grimacing through it with no choice but to carry on. And if you're wondering whether this was exaggerated, think again. Upon returning to the UK, Humphries confirmed he was heading straight for an X-ray. The thumb was still swollen, sore, and causing discomfort every time he squeezed. Early reports say it's likely not broken, but that doesn't mean he's in the clear. Ligament damage, nerve irritation, even long-term sensitivity, these things don't always show up right away. And if it had been worse, if that fan had pulled just a little harder, or the angle had been just slightly off, we could be talking about a world number one ruled out for months. A darting disaster caused not by competition, but by careless crowd interaction. The big question now, why did this happen? How did it get to the point where fans can make physical contact with players at all? Darts has always prided itself on being intimate, close, electric. But when you've got fans within arm's reach of your players, it only takes one moment for that to go horribly wrong. In Luke's case, the fan probably didn't mean harm. Maybe it was just over-enthusiastic. Maybe they didn't know their own strength. But that's the issue. It doesn't matter if the intent was harmless. The impact could have been career-threatening. Insiders are already whispering that this might be the final straw. Talks of new regulations are swirling, better barriers, stricter walk-on protocols, tighter security lines to keep players and fans separate until after the match. One tour official, who asked not to be named, said bluntly, "We've been lucky so far, but this incident proved it. We've pushed our luck too far." Players have stayed mostly quiet publicly, but behind closed doors, tension is rising. One top 10 pro allegedly told a teammate, "I'm not going near that walk-on unless they sort it." That could have been any of us. And let's not forget the psychological side. Darts is all about rhythm, repetition, and focus. When something like this happens, even if it doesn't cause physical damage, it wrecks the mental game. Luke had to shake it off, recalibrate his throw, and perform under massive pressure while wondering if his thumb was going to give out. The fact that he won the tournament makes it even crazier. Imagine what he could have done at full strength. But there's another angle here too, one that's not getting talked about enough, and that's the growing tension between crowd behaviour and player comfort. Over the last few years, darts has exploded in popularity. Bigger crowds, louder fans, more alcohol, more chaos. It's become a party atmosphere, especially at international events like the World Series. But with that comes risk. Not every fan is respectful, not every environment is safe, and while the crowd makes the game what it is, it's becoming harder and harder to balance energy with professionalism. Luke's injury, yes, let's call it what it was. An injury might finally force the PDC to act. We've already seen what happens when these things spiral. Remember the coin-throwing incident at a Premier League night last season? Or the beer cups thrown at Gerwyn Price? These are signs of a sport struggling to manage its own success. And now, with a player physically hurt by a fan, the spotlight is glaring. It doesn't help that social media has added fuel to the fire. Some fans have already identified the man who grabbed Luke's hand. Screenshots have been circulating. Theories are running wild. Was it deliberate? Did he bet against Luke? Was it just an overzealous fan who didn't know the boundaries? No official statement has been made about that person, no ban, no apology, no on-camera replay. It's like the moment never happened. But for Luke, it did happen, and whether the PDC acknowledges it or not, it changed everything. And let's not forget the timing. Luke is coming off one of the biggest seasons of his career. He's the reigning world champ, Premier League star, and now the US Masters winner. Every tournament, every match, every round matters. If his thumb had been damaged more severely, if he had missed weeks or months of play, the rankings could have shifted. Sponsorships, momentum, form. All of it could have taken a hit. The injury didn't end his season, but it could have. That's what makes this so scary. Some players are reportedly calling for walk-on redesigns. No more narrow aisles, no more physical contact, just clean, clear entrances with separation. It might ruin a bit of the crowd interaction, but it protects the talent. And in today's high-stakes world of professional darts, that matters more than a few selfies. Luke's camp has stayed mostly professional. He hasn't blamed the PDC directly. He's not demanding fines or changes yet, but the subtext is there. The injury, the x-ray, the vague warning. If I'd gone out early, it could have been a different story. He's sending a message without screaming it, but how long until someone else gets hurt? And what if that person doesn't walk away with the trophy? It shouldn't take a catastrophe for the sport to evolve, but sometimes it does. So now the ball is in the PDC's court. Will they step up? Will they quietly roll out new rules behind the scenes? Or will they hope the story fades and everything stays the same? Because if nothing changes, this incident won't be the last. And the next time, the result might not be so lucky. Let us know in the comments. Should players be protected more during walk-ons? Was the PDC too slow to react? And would you have played through the pain like Luke did? Smash that like button if you think Luke Humphries deserves more than a trophy. He deserves a safer sport. And subscribe for more stories they won't show you on the broadcast. Because in darts, it's not just about the scoring, it's about what happens when the cameras look away. Stay sharp, stay safe, and stay tuned.